Hello my French traders, Carolina Lizan here, a graduate student of the Grok Trade Mentoring Program. It is Tuesday, May 17th of 2011 and we're looking at the Q's daily chart, and what a beautiful bounce off of the 50 moving average in here on our daily chart, and also off of that lower area support that we talked about here yesterday, the 57.18 mark. Remember, as we said, that it was a really hard wall to break through to continue to the downside? Yeah, and that's what happened here today. We are breaking off of it to the upside, closing the day above the 50 moving average as well as above this area of support here at the 57.18. And check this out. Look at the MACD in here. Even though we're heading higher, we're heading up after that drop here that we had in the morning. We are closing the day higher, but we are still pointing lower on the MACD. We are getting closer and closer to the zero line with another negative tick, a bigger negative tick. So the MACD is pointing lower, telling us that we are bearish. We are heading down, and we're getting that low bounce off of the 50 moving average as well as that 57.18 mark. So it's not confirming. And look at this. We are getting that bounce off of those two major areas of support on a pretty high volume in here. It's above the average, so we're getting a pretty high volume in here, but it's lower than yesterday, so it's not really impressive. So watch it really carefully. So what we need to pay really close attention to tomorrow is the high of today, which is at the 57.57 mark, as well as the low of today, which is at the 56.98 mark. And also pay really close attention to the 50 moving average, which is at the 57.26 mark, as well as the 57.18 mark. So keep an eye on all of those areas of support and resistance that I mentioned here to you. And also, we need to pay attention to that upper area of resistance. If we ever try to go back up and get that little bit of a bounce off of a major area of support, here the 57.90. The 57.90 mark is acting as a significant area of resistance on our way up before we get all the way up to the 8 moving average, which is sitting right at the 58.45. So pay close attention to all of them here, because there are significant areas of resistance right here, the 57.90, as well as that next area of resistance on their way up here before we hit the 58.45 mark, which is the 8 moving average, and it's sitting right at the 58.30 mark. So again, the 57.90, the 58.30 mark, and then the 8 moving average again, which is at the 58.45 mark, and it's acting as a significant area of resistance right now at this point in time. So we could get a little bit of a bounce to at least that 58.45 mark, to the 8 moving average, and then we could break through it and enter into bullish territory continuing higher, or we could bounce off of it to the downside, breaking through the 50 moving average as well as the 57.18 mark, as well as the low of today, which was at the 56.98. And then if we ever broke through the 56.98 mark and closed below it, we could head all the way down to that next area of support on our way down here, the 56.65 mark, and then the next big one would be down below at the 55.84. So pay close attention to all of them in here, because it's really important, as well as keep an eye on the MACD to see if it's confirming any moves, and also look at the volume and look for an increase in volume. So we want to see a volume above the average, so that's very important here. All right, so thank you very much for staying with Grok Trade, and hope it helps you, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.